Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Jack Chat. Remember when I pretty much said that I had to wait to get married? Of course, we will get married someday, but we have to wait. But here's the thing, I will not have, or else me and Catherine will not have kids. I mean, sure, I do imagine what she would look like if she did get pregnant, but in case you're wondering, being pregnant is very hard. And let me tell you something. The mortality death rate is pretty high in the USA. Of course, here is the CDC record of the mortality death rates that have happened. And of course, 100,000, over 100,000 is in fact a lot higher in 2021. In fact, 31.3%, 100,000 lives births between the ages of 25 and 39. There are a lot of deaths between those ages in 2021. Now, don't get me wrong, being pregnant is a beautiful thing. Of course, you gotta be careful, and of course, read your wife's or else your lover's demeanor when it comes to seeing how bad she is doing. Labor and delivery is the toughest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I don't know how the hell these women go through, especially if the woman was autistic as well. And another thing, how can you be pregnant, or should I say, how can you be autistic and pregnant? To be honest, everybody knows that an autistic person would not want to go through the same things she experienced in labor and delivery. I mean, to be honest, it just doesn't make sense. It makes me think to myself, autistic kids are a lot different, or autistic people are a lot different than just your typical. And of course, they're atypical. So I don't know how an autistic person could give birth. And I really don't want to put Catherine through this stuff, because let's be honest, she would be more stressed out than ever. And here's the thing, we're not having kids, period. Now, about the house situation, pretty much affording a house is not that easy. But to be honest, if I can't afford a house, I'll just live in a trailer. No, not a mobile home, just a motor home. A trailer that just, you don't really need to pay house payments and all that. Used trailer that is pretty much useful. Now, I have been hearing that people saying that living in a trailer is not fun. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what's the point of not having fun when the benefits of having a trailer is for someone to actually drive you places and travel state to state. And of course, even if I can't afford a house, I could just afford this exact kind of trailer. Now, here's the thing I will never pretty much live in. And that's basically called a yacht. And look, for some people, living on the water seems to be fun to you. Or for some people, it may be fun. But let's be honest, listen, I am pretty much afraid of water. I'm not, I'm not really that good of a swimmer. I am a good swimmer, it's just that I have fear of deep water. And of course, I do not want to end up like that guy from Wolf of Wall Street. By the way, that is a true story. But this guy from Wolf of Wall Street had a yacht, and the worst part is that all of a sudden end up being stuck in a storm, and all of a sudden be one of those guys that says, "I will not die sober." But yes, living in a trailer is the best option, because you're definitely on land instead of water. Sure, you have to share a bathroom every once in a while, but people share bathrooms all the time. What could possibly go wrong? And here's a story about a show that me and my family watched this past month, and it's a pretty bizarre story. The show is called Defending Jacob. So it's about this boy who pretty much actually wanted for murder. If you don't want to hear the full story of this, and it's a spoiler alert, so I advise you to skip this part in this segment so you won't worry about being spoiled. So of course the story starts. This kid was in school, and then next thing you know, the school went on lockdown, of course. And then all of a sudden, the only thing that's funny about it is that all because of it was because it was going lockdown. It was because a body was found near the school. Of course, the body turned out to be identified as this kid named Ben, just found in the forest. Of course, while the investigation was going on, the school and of course two of the investigators and officers were interviewing all the kids and trying to figure out who might be involved in the murder. They also happened to pretty much take everyone's fingerprints. Most shockingly, it was actually turned out that the fingerprints matched Jacob. Look, being a parent to a murdered child is not easy, because when you realize that people found out whose fingerprints it was that was on the body of someone's body, pretty much that's when you realize that there was going to be a lot of people doing conspiracy theories, like writing and of course doing graffiti on someone's garage door and all that. Listen, you gotta be careful what people say about you, because sometimes it could end up hurting everyone and actually ending up having people in stress mode. Of course, I might as well skip ahead to the details where he actually went to trial, and of course the trial was so crazy that there was either people actually identifying the suspect or else actually telling, of course, not even knowing the details of what happened. And another thing is, there's actually this sort of thing called the murder gene, meaning it may have actually passed on from his grandfather. Oh my, do you recognize that guy? It's Spider-Man's boss. That's crazy. This guy went from being Spider-Man's boss to a farmer's insurance agent to a full-on murderer criminal. And then next thing you know, he's ended up being Captain America's dad. What a joke. So anyways, there was a break in the case, and of course, this guy ended up confessing and writing a huge letter before he was potentially committed suicide. So this guy wrote a note, and on the note, you wouldn't believe what he said. He said, "I killed Ben." Well, you'd think that was the end of it, right? Wrong. I'll tell you more about it. Let me explain the bizarre twists in the ending of this show. So of course the trial actually ended by pretty much saying that Jacob was free to go. And believe it or not, Ben's dad was not happy about the trial ending, because of course he knew something was wrong. Of course, when the barbers were actually walking to their car, that's when Ben's dad was all of a sudden so upset. Some guy behind him came and actually pinned him on the hood of the car. And believe it or not, I will tell you the craziest detail about this guy. And remember that confession? Pretty much what's interesting about it is that he didn't really commit suicide. Something definitely was wrong there. And remember that guy who actually came in to actually save the burgers from that guy? Well, it turns out Billy Barker actually paid that guy to actually have the guy who confessed and have that guy end up having the guy confessed with a gun to his head. And the craziest thing is, this guy was actually killing this guy or the other guy by strangulation, and literally like held him to his neck, and basically it was just the craziest twist of the story. And then that means the trial was tampered with. So at the end of the show, that's when the family decided to go to Mexico, and that's where Jacob meets this girl And of course, the girl was so pretty that they fell in love. Well, sort of. It wasn't even until the next day the girl was missing for 24 hours. Well, does that mean that did Jacob murder her? God only knows what happened to her. Oh no. And the craziest thing is the girl was found alive and stranded, and then next thing you know, the end. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Last month, near Macedonia, Ohio, there was a tragic accident. A truck actually went over the overpass going from Route 8 to 271 South. And it was bad. A truck actually went on the overpass, exploded, and caught on fire. A tragic thing happened. A truck driver that was driving the tanker truck passed away. He was a father of course, his children and another baby on the way. Of course, Route 8 was closed for a few days to assess the damage on both the bridge and, of course, the surface of the highway. Now, of course, the ODOT is investing either to put guardrails on the bridge to prevent another accident like this happening. So earlier this month, in the starting month of February, I flew from Cleveland all the way to Boston with my dad. It was actually for a fundraiser for my dad's friend Mike, who actually had a heart transplant about a few months ago. Of course, while I was there, I pretty much got some cool pictures while I was there, which I was really excited to get these photos of the most historical place ever, where American history first started. I happened to get pretty much every single picture I could think of in Boston, including the Harbor. And check this out, the very first Dunkin' Donuts ever built, located in Massachusetts. But are you ready for another legendary picture I've ever taken? You ready? I'll tell you why I say another legendary. You see, just like my ghost crab picture and my beautiful bald eagle picture, this one I'm going to say is probably the coolest one I've ever taken as well. And shoot, I almost got my other legendary picture. This beautiful picture of a monarch butterfly on a bush in Aruba. But are you ready for it? Here we go. A picture I've never thought I would actually get. A turkey with its spreaded feathers. And just tells you that, yes, I guess turkey season is in February, not November. But why would Thanksgiving be in November when it should be in February? This turkey, as you can see, is actually standing by a grave. And of course, you can tell it was actually walking somewhere. But I happened to capture it at the really right time for it to spread its feathers. It is the most beautiful piece of Thanksgiving decoration that I wish I could put on a decorative plate. I also happened to capture this. 2 turkeys with their feathers back to back facing me. And of course, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It's almost like one of those Asian looking fans that people use when they wave around. Makes a pretty good Asian fan. And of course, another 2 weeks from now, I will definitely be flying to Virginia. And you're not gonna believe this, but I'll be flying by myself for the very first time. I have never flew in a plane by myself. Of course, I gotta be a man about it. Sometimes I don't really feel like a man at all. And yes, I will be flying to Washington, D.C., where I will meet up with my Aunt Val at the gate. And I'll be spending a week with my Aunt Val, of course, until March passes. Even when the leap year comes. And finally, to play us out, I happen to actually go with Catherine to the Night to Shine dance of 2024. Very first time we actually got beautiful pictures of us, even without our name tags. She got a beautiful, beautiful dress from Amazon. The most beautiful dress I've ever seen her wear. I mean, it's the most fanciest dress. And of course, it's a prom dress. It's beautiful. I mean, we really looked like we were in Hollywood. I mean, that's how cool we were. We took a limo ride, we danced a little bit, and we sang karaoke. Anyways, that is going to be it for today. Sorry it had to be short. I have never nothing to say. It took me a lot of time because I was busy. I was walking. I was doing some productive stuff. Well, sort of. I don't know. My mind had a lot to say. But anyways, I think I might get a job at Progressive Field as a greeter. I'm pretty sure I'll probably be good at that. Not sure how much money I would make over there, but I might work full time there. You never know. It should be probably a fun job to work there. And of course, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys next time, and I will tell you all about the trip. Well, not really the trip, but I will see you in March. Take it away.